And we're live.
Oh, I got an email. Look at that. I got an email that we're live right now. Wow.
It's
Let's look at it.
It's the show before the show.
Whoever sets these things up, Ryan, must be really, really good at his job. That's crazy. That is really nuts.
Danny is very good at his job.
Let's see if it's on yeah, it's working on Facebook. Do we have sound? Because last week we didn't have sound at first. Beautiful. Look at us go. We're
Perfect.
golden here, Christian
Yeah.
Shaffer. What's up,
It's going
dude?
smooth. How are you?
Doing awesome. I'm doing awesome. I'm going to talk on the show before the show about this rain right here.
Okay,
We're going to
let's
get
hear
into
it.
this. You said 3 to 5 energy drinks a day?
Yeah, dude. I'm definitely a caffeine freak, man. You know, gotta stay awake, gotta stay ready.
Like just energy drinks, coffee, anything?
Energy drinks, man. Energy drinks and pre-workout.
Do you dry scoop pre-workout?
No. I used to for a little bit, but then I don't know. I heard that it's not as effective, actually.
I think like the only reason people think it's more effective is because it turns you into like a savage for a second.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, it's definitely a miserable experience, but like, if it's not worth it, it's not worth it.
Yeah, the fighter I was telling you, that Glenn Christner that drinks like 6 a day, he dry scoops all the time. He did it on we had him on the podcast right before his last fight just recently, and he did a scoop on camera. I was like, dude, please don't do that. Don't do that. And he just did it anyway. Just who he is, man.
He's just a savage.
He truly is. So we got Ryan Middleton on the keys today. Ryan Middleton playing the part of Danny Palm. He's like the understudy on Broadway that gets his chance. Hey, not bad. Not bad. That's a pretty good. Can you give us a hello people, or do you have your own slogan?
Hello, Cretans.
Nice.
Cretans.
Okay, he went with the Cretans. That's a
Okay.
good call. Good call. So if you guys are joining us, we're going to be going officially live here at 1. This is what we call the show before the show. Christian, being such a good dude, showed up like, what, 20 minutes early?
Yeah, 20.
That's
pro level.
that's pro level.
I try to be.
That's
Try to be.
That's how it's done, man. So 20 minutes early, on time, ready to roll. Like just got your energy drink, showed up prepared. Is this your first podcast?
Yeah.
Ever?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
First time.
How's that possible?
I don't know, man. Just all the preparation, I guess.
Nice.
He got the in-studio experience too, huh? For his first podcast, not one of these like StreamYard things.
Dude, I don't like, for me, I don't know. I'd like to see what the commenters think on this, but I don't even think those are real podcasts. Like if you're not in person, it's not a podcast to me. It doesn't count.
Yeah, there's definitely something about the disconnect, you know what I mean? Like you can't read body language and all that stuff.
Yep.
It's just not as personable, I feel.
Right.
There's something to be
no,
said.
you're dead on. It's more like, it always turns into more like an interview when it's virtual. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I ask a question, you answer a question. Like that's not a podcast. That's just you asking me stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
So your podcasts early on, Hunter, don't count. We should throw those numbers out the window.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I think they're all fake.
Scraped.
So if I had any of you guys on early, who all what? So there were some good ones early.
Like Cherico. What about
okay.
Milstead?
John Anik?
Oh, that one counts. That one still counts.
Sorry, Anik, you got to come into the studio. Welcome to Hickory, PA, John Anik.
Dude, he would love it. Actually, on that podcast, John Anik said Pittsburgh's one of his favorite cities, most underrated city in America.
Oh,
he said.
easily.
And he's right, obviously.
I don't know. There's something with Pittsburgh, you know what I mean? Like, it can be a small town, or it can also feel like a big city if you want it to be. Just
Absolutely. That is the true beauty of Pittsburgh. So I'm watching for like comments and stuff, and it's got the captions on Facebook, and it said for John Anik, John Annex. I'm like, yeah, pretty close. John Annex. You're doing good there, Mark Zuckerberg. That's great. I'm gonna hold that thought about the small town feel of Pittsburgh, because I want to save that for when it gets real.
Oh,
so
snap.
this seems like Stupinski said when he trains 28 hours a day, he needs it, the energy drinks.
Yeah.
28 hours a day, huh? Is that the secret to Christian Shaffer?
Yeah, dude. Just, try and spend as much time on the mats as you can. Yeah.
We're gonna really talk about that.
Okay.
Because I'm excited about that. How'd you like Sprawl, first of all?
Dude, it was a sweet event, man. Grappling in the cage, it's different. It's different. I would definitely say it hurts more, right, than being on the mats.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The nice thing about being in the cage is like they can't back up or anything, you know. So it's because it's in such a confined space. It's gonna force action, and I think that there's something to be said about that.
Yeah. That's what we love about it. I was trying to find something to show you. 1 second. Let's see. This is great listening for people. I'm not going to be able to find it. But do you use Reddit at all?
I don't check it all the time, but like if I have a question or something like that, like, you know, definitely use it as a resource.
Yeah. I used to be a big, like, I don't know how much you know about me, but I was an MMA journalist before I got into 247 at all. And I used to be on Reddit MMA like constantly, dude, like promoting my work or just, you know, whatever. And our BJJ, when I was like trying to learn a little more about you before the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't like really digging in to learn people before it because I want it to just organically happen. Like I don't want to know everything about you, but I wanted to see like, is there anything else out there that I'm missing with him before we get started? And there was a post on Reddit of like it was a question like, how do you deal with people pulling guard? And it was a clip of you versus somebody else, and it said ADCCs, but I'm not sure if it was this year or what. But just as soon as the match starts, you both just instantly sit down, and it was just like this viral clip that everybody was making fun of. They're like, yeah, well, with ADCC rules, that just makes sense to do that.
Yeah, so like, I remember whenever that clip went viral. So that was me versus another famous black belt, CJ Murdoch. And I don't think a lot of people realize with ADCC, there's no points in the first half. So like wrestling doesn't make sense, right? 'Cause it's so hard and so taxing. So he knew that I was going to pull guard, and you know he saw all my matches beforehand, and like they were all pretty quick finishes. And he's like, okay, well, like I'm not going to stand and try and pass with this dude. So that's where you got the double guard sit, and it just blew up from there. And dude, some of the comments and shit, it's just like. Oh, if somebody ever did this to me in a street fight, I'd just kick him and stuff like that. And it's like, we're not on the street, bro. Like, like this is a tournament.
Guess what? I probably wouldn't do that in the street either.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Oh, man. People are completely ridiculous when it comes to jiu-jitsu. Like, you can instantly tell who's never even tried it.
So you kind of have like two schools, right? You have the people that don't really know anything, and then you have the people that think that they know it all. And at the end of the day, like, dude, you're just basically grappling another sweaty dude. Like, I don't understand why this is such a serious thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just something fun.
Yeah.
People take it too seriously.
I mean, that's the case with a lot of things, I think. But I will say, jiu-jitsu compared to MMA, I think people are a little more lighthearted about jiu-jitsu, which makes sense. You're not having punches, kicks, your consciousness, all these things at stake.
It's 1 o'clock.
You can't be. Oh,
snap.
it's officially 1 o'clock.
Happening.
Did we get is the push notification out? Not yet. Where's it at? Oh, I guess I'm not so good at my job. There's no push notification. Oh my goodness gracious. It should have gone out though. Let me see here. Good people who have joined us for Christian Shaffer live in studio. And as you can see, oh, he's here. He's rocking a nice white champion crew neck, a classic, an absolute classic choice.
Why, thank you.
I like it. Nice. That was awesome. So, all right, now we were show before the show. If you guys were joining us, thank you. But if you waited till 1, also, hello, what's up? On the 247 Combat Sports Podcast. This one's hyped. This was
really?
This was a referral. I will say, like, a lot of your teammates are very excited about this, for sure.
Yeah. You know, first of all, shout out to everybody at Stout, right? Super close-knit family. So, you know, really glad that, you know, first of all, Lucas, thank you for being able to get me on here, though.
Lucas, that's what I was going to say. It was actually a referral podcast. Lucas reached out to me and was like, bro, you got to get Christian Shaffer on. And I'm like, first of all, I would love to have Christian Shaffer on.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like we need this referral, but that's awesome. Did you want to come on, or was he like telling you like, dude, you should do some podcasts?
You know, like, so I definitely want to try and grow my brand and stuff like that and get my name out there more, because I definitely feel like, you know, like I'm a small fish in a big pond, but it wasn't like anything that I'm set on, like, oh, like, you know, I got to get on podcasts, I got to get clips or anything like that. It just kind of happened, you know, referred me, you reached out, and it's like, fuck yeah, dude, let's do it.
Sick.
Let's do it.
I'm shocked that this is your first podcast, honestly, because you've accomplished, like, you're a guy in the scene. People know about you. I'm just very surprised that you haven't jumped on anything before.
Nah, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm a pretty quiet individual, you know what I mean? Kind of keep to myself, so, but we're here now.
You're 19 years old?
19. 19.
Nice. When did you start jiu-jitsu? Like, that's where we got to start.
So December 2019. So coming up on 4 years.
That's not nearly as long as I thought you were going to say.
Really?
That's bananas.
Yeah.
All right, dude. So let's just call it what it is. Like,
Okay.
you're a little prodigy there at Stout. Everybody knows it. 4 years. Like, that's crazy. You've only been training 4 years. ADCCs, I think, because I've known about you for a long time, and I've, dabbled here and there. I don't think I realized how good you really were until ADCCs this year. And with your match against AJ, I was like, he's that good? I'm
Yeah.
like, holy shit. What was that experience like for you when you realized you were going against a guy that, he's well known in the space? Like, even casual fans know about him.
So like you definitely have to respect an individual like that, extremely accomplished, multiple time no-gi black belt world champ, ADCC silver medalist, I believe. So, going into that match, you have to take it seriously. But at the end of the day, like everybody's ligaments break, everybody bleeds, all that stuff. So it's like, I understand what I'm capable of. I understand what he's capable of. And it was honestly more so excitement, like going into something like that, I don't have anything to lose, right? I just get to go and just ball out, right? So it was honestly more so excitement than anything.
You did perform really well, too, I'll say.
I appreciate
I think
it.
that surprised people, too.
I appreciate it.
What was your takeaway? Did you leave thinking like, dude, I could have won that?
Yeah,
Or were you
absolutely.
like proud
Absolutely.
of yourself? Both.
So I'm definitely my biggest critic, and I'm it's a good and a bad thing. There were a couple of instances in that match where I think, if I would have changed a couple of small things, it would have gone my way. But overall, I was pretty happy with the performance.
You are technically a blue belt?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, how do you feel about, because that's been something funny for me as we do sprawl. And I've always known like no-gi rankings are kind of bullshit to begin with, but it's really apparent in sprawl. Like, matching sprawl will have a white belt against a black belt, and it's a fair matchup or whatever. How do you feel about the belt ranking system?
Dude, I hate it. Belts are so stupid. I wish, kind of like wrestling where it's like you have a novice division, then it, just like open division. I wish it was something like that, at least in no-gi. Maybe in the gi you can justify it, but I feel like people get too caught up on the belts, because what it really boils down to is just time on the mats, you know what I mean? Like, you could have somebody that's technically been training for 5 years, but if they're only showing up once a week, then it's like, okay, sure, like, you're a blue belt, but, you might also have a guy that's, 2 years in, training twice a day, multiple hours per session, and it's like, okay, he's also technically a blue belt. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. So you're 15 years old, I assume, in December of when you started, 2019.
2019.
What made 15-year-old Christian be like, gonna give this a try?
So I wrestled from like 2nd to 9th grade. Had a little bit of a falling out with the team. Just didn't really see eye to eye with some of the coaching staff. Took a couple of years off, and then in those years, man, just it was a really lonely time, right? Playing video games, just getting super fat, all that stuff, and it was COVID kind of rolled around. And then after COVID, it's like, okay, well, like, what am I going to do with myself? And then it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to try jiu-jitsu. And funny enough, shout out to my mom. She was the one that recommended it. I was real hesitant about it for a while. Like, nah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But tried one class, and ever since then I was hooked.
That's awesome, dude. You tried at Stout? Like, did you start at Stout and just stay there all the way?
Yep.
Dude.
Homebred.
Homebred. Stapinski with 3 separate comments. Beats my ass. That's awesome. Dude, it hit me like if you watch the video, you'll see like my face. I was like, holy crap. It didn't even hit me that COVID was 4 years ago now. Like, you saying that you basically started after COVID had already started. That does not seem 4 years ago at all. That's nuts.
Dude, time flies, man. And I get it. COVID, super hard for a lot of people, but for me, it really worked out in my favor. So I'm just really fortunate, man.
That COVID shut down a lot of gyms. So it
did.
was unique that you took COVID as an opportunity to actually start.
So it was kind of while I was in the midst of COVID, it was kind of, what am I going to do with myself? And then as soon as the lockdown lifted, school was still closed. I was still doing online school and stuff like that. So it's like, I have all this free time on my hands. So I just show up, do the noon classes, do the afternoon classes. And then I'd actually have my laptop. I'd be logged into, like my math class and shit, and just throw it off on the side of the mat, just keep on training.
That's hilarious. So was it kind of love at first roll, so to speak, or did it take a while for you to be like, okay, this is sick?
No, dude, after the first class, I was hooked, man. I was hooked. I felt like I was going to throw up, but I don't know. I love that feeling.
Were you like better than average right away?
No, not really, man. No, just kind of, another random person at the gym.
I'm glad you said that, because if you would have said opposite, it would have ruined what I was going to like follow up with. But I was like, it's funny because jiu-jitsu seems to be a thing that like athleticism, of course, helps to some degree, but it's not something that literally anybody on earth has ever been awesome at the first time. Like, you just aren't.
No, no. I think so. Unlike, some combat sports like Muay Thai, boxing, even wrestling, where it's a lot of feel. I think that there's so much to jiu-jitsu that you can't really feel it out, you know what I mean? It's either you know it or you don't. So it really comes down to more so of that technical side. So, as you keep on progressing, you keep on knowing more, and then that's where you're really going to start getting better.
Did you fall in love with that very early, that aspect of it?
Yes, absolutely, man. Just kind of doing like the deep dives on like, different instructionals, different techniques, different positions, all that stuff. It's just, there's so much that you can do within the sport that it really kind of called to me.
Nice. Were you always a very kind of inquisitive person? Like, did you go down rabbit holes a lot as a kid and stuff?
Oh my God, dude. Rabbit holes, not even just about jiu-jitsu, but like cars, carpentry, hunting. Just if
what
there's
a spread right there, by the way.
Yeah, like if there's rabbit holes that you can go down, I probably spent at least a month looking into it.
What's like, besides jiu-jitsu, what's your biggest hobby?
Weirdly enough, chess, man. Super big chess player.
It's not weird at all. That's like, everybody calls jiu-jitsu human chess, right?
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense, actually.
Yeah. So
How long have you been playing chess?
2 years? Two years now.
So that came after jiu-jitsu.
It did.
Was it a
did.
result of jiu-jitsu? Like, hey, I like this. Maybe chess will be cool to me.
No, so like, I don't know. I was always real big into video games and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, like I still love them, but I just know with my personality, like if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it, all the way. It's no halfsies or anything. So just trying to find out something that I could do in my free time, post training, stuff like that. That's more so mentally engaging rather than physically engaging. Because after training, you're tired, man.
For sure. How do you recover? Do you do anything in particular?
Sleep, eat. I'll sauna every now and then if I have something that's real nagging me, like just stretching and stuff like that. But honestly, I feel like sleep's the biggest thing, man. Like,
Nice.
It's your body's natural recovery system, and I don't feel like a lot of people necessarily sleep enough.
Do you monitor your sleep pretty heavily?
No. I've always been kind of curious about like the whoops and like the different sorts of trackers and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just try and stay as in tune with my body as I can. You know what I mean? Like I understand like, okay, needs to be a colder room, needs to be darker, all that stuff. But then I feel like tracking sleep, cool, but it's not going to help you in the moment. So just kind of having like different tools and stuff in place to, kind of make you just pass out.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I want to jump back to the video games and throw this on you. Top 3 video games of all time.
Ooh, top 3 of all time. Franchises or just games specifically?
Man, that's a great question. You can include a franchise if you want.
Okay, I feel like it's a cop-out answer, but COD, first of all.
Okay.
My first true love, I'd say. And then Rust, which is a PC game. It's just kind of like a open world type deal. Show up, get to beat people up. It's very, very aggravating.
Sick.
And then I'm trying to think my third favorite video game. Probably Escape from Tarkov.
I don't know that at all, I'll be honest.
It's honestly more so like a combat sim than anything. But again, there's just so much to it. That you can go on like these massive deep dives. You can build out your guns. You can bunch of different armors and stuff like that.
Nice.
Just really, there's a lot to it, and I really appreciated it.
That's sick. What's the best COD?
MW2 by far.
Okay, the original one.
Yes.
Because didn't they remake it?
Dude, honestly, I don't know. Ever since I think it was Advanced Warfare, I kind of fell out with the franchise because it's just like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. I'm not a gamer by any means, but in college I played a lot, obviously, as pretty much every college kid did. And COD was the one that we played. Like Modern Warfare 2, oh my God, the hours I must have in that game are ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But you're right, one of the best ever, for sure. I don't know Rust either, but I'm intrigued by that. It's that high up the list.
So it's a real strange game. If you look at the community, a pretty toxic community, but whatever.
Shocking.
Yeah. It's, you kind of log into a server and, you kind of have to build a base. There's guns and stuff like that you can make, run around, shoot people, raid bases, stuff like that. It's a very demanding game. And each time the server will wipe weekly. So, you put in all this time, all this effort, and it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
But I don't know. People still get into it, man. And like, you'll have like, it's called like clans or like zergs or whatever. And you'll get like mass amounts of people. And like, dude, I remember at one point, especially during COVID, like I was scheduling my day around the game because, you know, server wipes at a certain time. And it's like, you got to go, bro.
Got to get it
You
done
gotta
by
go.
That's
But,
wild. Was
yeah.
there anything real at stake in that? Like, were there tournaments for that game or anything like that?
So there were a much smaller degree than something, you know, maybe like a Fortnite or like a COD or like a Rocket League or something like that. What I would do, it'd be like wagers. So it'd basically be like you do like 1v1s and then like put money down.
Okay. Makes perfect sense. Jess Elizabeth making fun of you saying the gaming community is toxic. She said, breaking news, sky is blue.
Yeah. Caught me.
Very fair. Very
Caught
fair.
me.
And obviously anything, like literally anything online nowadays is toxic.
Dude, yeah.
How? Good. No, good.
Dude, I try and stay away from all that stuff because it just creeps into your mind, man. And then just nothing good ever comes from it. Nothing good really ever comes from it, I feel.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was gonna point out that kind of for as well known as you are locally, which you definitely are, your online presence, it seems like you're intentionally not trying to be online very much to me. Like, whereas Lucas, for example, is very out front with his online presence. Like, you're the opposite of that.
So it's not necessarily that I'm intentionally not doing it. It's just, again, like I'm such a private person, man, that, you know, it feels weird kind of putting yourself out there, you know, for everybody to, you know, look in, judge, all that stuff. So, but, you know, you kind of have to do it, especially, you know, in any sort of combat sport or anything. Because at the end of the day, like, sure, like, oh, professional athlete, all this stuff, but like, I'm an entertainer, dude. Like, you know, so I'm really trying to focus in on growing my audience and everything else, but it's just weird, man, putting yourself out there like that.
It's goofy. And
Yeah.
as a promotion, I mean, we have to do that, of course. Like, that's our job, is to put things out there and get exposure for them. And we get attacked all the time, too.
Oh,
It's
dude,
like-
I can imagine.
It's like, dang, man, what? We didn't do anything wrong. And like so many times you have to just let it happen and let it go because you just look worse if you start arguing, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Start spiraling downhill.
Yeah. Jared Billy, the man, Jared Billy. Shout out, Jared. He said it can be real toxic. Some of these gamers are freaking brutal. Yeah. I'm glad. Like, I never, even in college, we did play online Call of Duty, but for the most part, I just play like crap at home by myself. Bloodborne's like my favorite game ever, and I got super addicted to it.
I'm not familiar with it.
It's a FromSoft game, so like Dark Souls, Dark
Oh,
Souls
yeah,
2.
yeah.
It's one of
Okay.
those, but it's like the aggressive, like gothic horror version of one of those
Okay.
games. I
How
love it way too much.
How
Actually,
aggravating is it?
the most. Like, no, I actually quit. So my friend that I was in college with,
Okay.
that my roommate throughout college, he's a huge gamer.
Okay.
And he was telling me for a long time, he's like, dude, you got to play Bloodborne. Got to play Bloodborne. I'm like, I don't know, man. And then I played it one time, made it like for 20 minutes, died 100 times. And I was like, I'm never playing this again. And then it was COVID. And I was just bored at home and it was still installed on my PS4. I was like, I'm going to try that again. And then I got somewhere and like slowly got better. I was like, oh my God, it's the best
caught the
game
bug.
ever. Oh, dude. And like to this day, if I play video games, I just play that.
Yeah.
I don't even need another game. It ruined other games for me.
Really?
It's like no game is that good.
It just doesn't hit the same or anything?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll try something that they're like, oh, this is like Bloodborne, and I'll try it. I'm like, nah, dude, that's nothing like. It's not even close to the same. Maybe I'm just being stubborn. I don't know.
No, I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. You know what I mean? If something calls to you, then it's gonna call to you.
Very true. And I like how instantly jujitsu called to you because, like, for a lot of people, it doesn't do that. I think that's a combination of just willpower, but also you're pretty good at it to start at a good school. Like having those people around you had to help too, right? Like seeing that there's a competition team, there's people here doing real stuff. Like if I stay here, maybe I could do something. Was the goal to compete from the beginning?
No. So honestly, like I kind of stumbled into all of this, man. It was just, you know, what do I do with my time? How do I fill it? And you know, fortunately, you know, as I kept on getting better and better, you know, some of the higher belts and higher ups at Stout, you know, started to notice me and stuff like that, you know, started to put a little bit more attention and stuff into me. And you know, we're more so of an MMA gym. Our competition jiu-jitsu side really isn't that big. And it was, you know, I remember kind of sitting down with Mike and it's like, okay, like, you know, this kind of interests me, dude. Like, what do you think, you know, traveling for all these different competitions, Vegas, California, you know, New York, just all over the place. And he's like, yeah, sure. Like, let's try it, bro. And you know, it just kind of grew from there.
That's sick. So it was your idea originally?
I don't know if it was necessarily my idea because they always wanted to see me compete because, they saw what I did in practice and stuff like that. And they'd be curious to see like what I do on the local scene. And eventually it kind of hit a point where it's like, okay, I'm going against all the same guys. What do you do now? And it's like, okay, you bump up a little bit, start competing around those guys. Okay, you bump up a little bit, you bump up a little bit, you bump up a little bit. And it's like, now I'm here where I am.
How much different is competing than practice for you? I know everybody handles competition differently, feels it differently. Were you like a natural gamer, so to speak, or did you have some performance anxiety starting out?
Oh my God, no, dude. I am an anxious mess. But one thing that I'm, honestly, Lucas, he's really been helping me out with it, trying to get my mind, straight and everything else. And one thing that I kind of realized with competition is like, you're never going to be as good in competition as you are in practice. So just trying to, close that gap or close that distance because, however you practice is going to be on how you compete. So it's just trying to get as close to that as you can. Like, I don't think, you always hear about like rising to the occasion and stuff like that, but like, I don't think that's true. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an interesting point because you do see athletes all the way up to the best pro level, whatever, take any sport. You see guys who are clutch, so to speak, and it's like they do kind of rise up and you hear about guys who are better in games than in practice sometimes, where the reverse is way more common, like a dude's an animal in the gym but then doesn't perform on fight night or whatever. But it's just interesting navigating that whole realm to me as a competitor for you, especially being like you were kind of like new to it, as you said, like it was a very quick track. Like the fact that you started 4 years ago blew my mind. I was not expecting that at all. That's crazy. Yeah. So did your wrestling growing up, was that enough like performance that you felt like, oh, I've competed athletically enough? Did you do other sports, or were you the spotlight in other areas?
No. So, football and wrestling all the way from like 2nd to 9th grade. And PA is extremely difficult in wrestling. I'd say I was like a 500 wrestler. You know what I mean? Like just average. Like not really on the spotlight, but, also didn't really suck or anything either. So, I'm used to competing. I understand, like lights and stuff are going to be on you. People are going to be watching, but you just have to tune that stuff out. And I don't know. Definitely first starting out in jiu-jitsu, it was very scary, right? Especially, because I would have been 15, 16, going against like full-grown adults and stuff like that. And it's like, what the fuck? But I don't know. It just all kind of worked itself out.
That's amazing. Stupinski said, before Christian, we had only done maybe one group travel competition for reference. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane because Stout seems like such the, locally the biggest traveling, local, like just everything. You guys have the biggest competition team for sure. Just the stable. How's that grown since you've been there, and what's it been like being a part of that growth?
In what terms? You mean more so
volume?
People,
yeah, I mean just the sheer
volume of training,
the sheer numbers
like
of people.
That?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Especially first starting out, it's like, okay, like you don't have that many people competing or traveling and stuff like that. But it's like now where we are, it's like, we have some really, really good competitors, like Claire Butterfield. She has a match tonight over at Lou's. Alex Hudick, he's great. Andy, we just have a lot of people that are, kind of coming up and realizing it's like, okay, it doesn't have to be purely MMA. I can just simply compete in jiu-jitsu. And it's really cool to be able to see not just myself, but also other individuals realize that and kind of pursue it.
Sure. Was that a product of Stout growing a lot, or was that a product because jiu-jitsu in general has gotten immensely more popular? You think it was a combination? Probably.
I think it was a combination of both. So Warren, he has been grappling and competing, since, before I was even alive and stuff like that. So I think he kind of understood what it would take, and he understood what the scene kind of looked like and stuff like that. And it just kind of, became a matter of, I understand what I need to do as a coach. How can I get the athletes, though, to be able to then, put them up on that stage? And, that's what he's doing now.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see, man. And I'll say from our end, an honor to be a part of it, too. Like, we always like working with Stout, clearly. And the Sprawl events, since we started that in July, like, that's been a good way for us to obviously get more of you guys in there. Like that opens up a totally new avenue. I know the cage is different, but I like that personally. Like myself, I like that it's different. We've had people say like we should get a mat and a stage, but Besides logistically, which let's be honest, it's nice. Like we have an MMA show the next day, the cage is already
Yeah.
set up. That's very nice for us,
It's
obviously.
convenient.
Yeah, but legitimately, even if that wasn't the case, I think having cage grappling is cool. Like that's different.
It's definitely unique. It's going to put you guys on a little bit of a different market, right? You guys aren't going to be going against people like, Fight to Win, who's number one and stuff like that. So I think it is going to draw in a little bit of a different audience, and I think it's going to be able to help you guys grow.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of Sprawl and Brawl in the Berg 19 tickets for people who are listening. They just went on sale today. So I'm just saying, we announced Justin Patton versus Jacob Olave.
Okay.
So I know Patton comes into Stout, right? So have you ever worked like on Saturdays? Does he ever come in?
Yeah, so obviously,
Or you're
I
probably
see,
not there on Saturday.
Yeah,
Never
so
mind.
I'm not really there
I'm an
with
idiot.
too much of no. So I'm not really there with too much of the sparring team, but I definitely go down to the Mat Factory, and I will see some of the Mat Factory guys on Saturday and stuff like that. So I'm not the most informed person, but I got to put my money on Patton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude's just a stud.
I mean, watching his growth is cool because he's 28 or 9, I want to say, but he feels older because it seems like he's been around for so long. Like that OG crew of Pittsburgh MMA guys, he was a part of that. And now he's still here, like at his peak now, like slowly getting to his peak. It's really cool to see his progression. Whereas a lot of guys definitely would have quit by now. He's like he can't be stopped.
It's a tough sport, man. It's a tough sport. Getting punched in the face.
It's
not
insane.
fun.
It's insane. And then you add in the fact like you have a day job. At this level, it's not enough to sustain you as a career. So it's like, okay, I got a day job, I got a girlfriend, I got friends, and you also want me to dedicate all this time to MMA. Like that's a crazy thing to ask.
Yeah.
How's that for you? What's your day look like? Like do you have a day job or
No, dude. So again, shout out to Stout. I cannot stress this enough. I would not be here if it wasn't for them. Even in high school and stuff like that, I didn't necessarily have a normal job or anything like that. I'd basically go to my classes, leave, sprint out the door to try and make it to the 4:30 classes. And, I teach the little kids, teach the older kids, and then I just train. And then I'm kind of grow from there, right? So, go from teaching kids classes to, teaching adult classes and stuff like that. So, no, everything that I do, I'm hanging out at Stout, man. Hanging out at Stout.
Beautiful. I think that's amazing. First of all, that you're teaching at this age. But secondly, it's a sophisticated art. You got to get the details right to teach. How long into it were you before they felt comfortable having you teach classes?
Kids or adults?
Start with kids.
Kids, I was teaching. They had me shadowing 2 years in, probably 2 years in. So, you get your blue belt, you feel comfortable with the general position, stuff like that. Okay, you're going to start working with the little kids. Okay, how do you do with the little kids? Okay, it seems like they're taking well, they're growing, right? You're patient. You can present the information in a manner in which that is very digestible for them. So it's like, okay, now we're going to put you on the older kids. Same thing there. How do you handle that? And then, depending on how that goes, then it's like, okay, now we're going to let you start teaching adults. Dude, even with the adults, they were super hesitant, man, and understandably so, you know what I mean? Like, imagine being a full-grown adult walking into a gym, and it's like, who the fuck is this kid? Like, I'm supposed to learn from him, and it's just like, yeah, I guess.
That's what I was thinking. Imagine walking in and there's a 17-year-old just like, yeah, I've been training for like a month, but they say I'm pretty good. We'll see. Wilkins commented he is a terrific teacher. So there you go, dude. Nice.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Love that. Are kids harder to teach? To me, it seems like they would be harder.
So here's what I'll say with kids. Teaching kids is much more difficult than teaching adults, but it is so much more fulfilling, right? Being able to sit there and look at a kid and, you can see their face light up, both in the moment and then over time and stuff like that. It's definitely a much more rewarding experience. Dude, like, right? Like sometimes you're just going to get kids and they just don't want to listen, man, right? Like kids are going to be kids at the end of the day. So it's difficult. It's more difficult, but I honestly kind of enjoy it a little bit more.
How do you deal with the parents? Are they harder to manage than the kids?
Sometimes the parents can be, but fortunately, the culture in which that we've been able to establish at Stout and everything else, a lot of the parents are really understanding. They're really trusting. They'll either drop their kid off or they'll stay for class, but they'll just kind of sit there and watch. Man,
Nice.
I haven't really had to deal with too many parents that are being overly aggressive or kind of sideline coaching and stuff like that. And whenever I do, I come up and I just talk to them, and it's like, listen, I understand you want to see your kid succeed, and it's like, so do I, but what's the best way that we can go about it?
Okay, cool. when Steve Mowry was on the podcast, he was talking about that, how a lot of the sideline parents, he's like, that's why I never really want to coach, because that would drive me bananas.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be able to handle it if I'm trying to teach and somebody knows better on the sidelines. It's just like, oh, I could see that.
It's definitely frustrating, man. But again, if you want to see some real bad examples, Pee-wee wrestling, those parents go so hard, man. So, you know,
I resemble that remark.
Nice.
yeah.
I'm upset Danny Palm's not here because he always talks about wrestling parents and how insane they were, because he was an assistant wrestling coach at Upper St. Clair. So,
dude, it's not even the dads too. I don't think people realize wrestling moms, they get into it, bro. They get into it.
Oh yeah,
stand up, stand. It's just
just stand.
It's a
like,
different world.
why don't they just stand up more often? I don't understand.
I don't know. It's just that easy, apparently.
Do you watch the UFC much?
I would definitely classify myself more as a casual, but
Okay.
yeah, I definitely follow MMA.
I was going to ask if you're aware of like the meme with Derek Lewis, just stand up.
Oh my, yeah.
Like he literally just stands
Yeah.
up all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah, dude. What's his nickname? It's the Black Beast,
Black
right?
Beast,
Yeah,
yeah.
but like, I don't know. There's a reason for it. You know what I mean? There's a reason for it.
Like you got to be built different to just stand up.
It's, you know, the way that he does it though.
Yeah,
it's smart.
Right.
It's smart. But again, though, just, you know, from an outsider looking in, it's just, you know, he just shucks people off like it's no problem.
I've seen breakdowns explaining like, no, this is actually kind of technical the way he's doing this, but you're right. When you're just watching, it's like, bro, he literally just stood up. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. What was your kind of like go-to as you started jiu-jitsu? Did you have a signature move or anything that you developed early that gave you a lot of confidence?
So I would say until about halfway into my white belt career, no, not really. And then I started working with Vince Mang a lot. And you know, if you guys have ever watched him grapple or anything like that, it's a lot of inversions, a lot of reverse daily heave, a lot of daily heave and stuff like that. And it's like, I remember kind of sitting there on open mats and it's like, dude, like this dude's badass. Like I want to be like him.
Yeah.
And then it's, you know, started talking to him, did a couple of privates with him. After the privates and stuff like that, you know, he just, you know, started investing a lot, and it started to turn into like a lot of reverse daily heave, a lot of inversions, you know, kind of spinning underneath, just a lot of guard play.
Nice. Shout out Vince, by the way. He's the man.
Yeah, A1, bro.
And I think
A1.
every time he gets brought up on the podcast, everybody says that he annoys them by how good he is at everything.
Dude, it's so stupid. It could be basketball, shooting, skateboard. It's just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I don't know if he's practicing these things on his off time.
I think he is. I think that's the secret with Vince.
Maybe.
He's just constantly like learning a new skill and then casually like, you guys want to go bowling later? I just thinking about it. Like bowling would be cool.
Dude, he's messed me up in bowling before.
See?
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
No, he's definitely like just one of those people like that exists. It's like
Yeah,
you're just good at stuff.
talented.
Just good at stuff. Just super talented, man.
Mix it up.
Yeah. What would be like besides jiu-jitsu, what could you absolutely school somebody at?
What could I absolutely school somebody at? Right off the cusp, or do I have a little bit of preparation?
You could prepare for like 6 months.
6 months? I would say a lot of most things like academic. I'm definitely not the biggest athlete, but if I like something and I'm going to invest my time into it, I feel like I'm a pretty quick learner. So I'd
Nice.
say like most things like academically, or just more so like cerebral. Yeah, there we go. Blech. Cerebral. Yeah.
So if there was like a theme to Jeopardy and you could pick the topic, you would just clean up.
I don't know if I'd clean up, but I'd definitely be able to hold my own.
Nice. I like that. What would be like, you're going on Jeopardy, it's Final Jeopardy. What would you want the category to be? Like, what do you know the most about? Besides jiu-jitsu, you can't pick that. It's like, that was definitely it.
Weirdly enough, I'd probably say like I'm cooking or something like that. Like I
Nice.
don't know on how you'd go about it if you'd want to look at like famous chefs and stuff like that. But you know, cooking was a big theme kind of growing up, right?
That's sick.
Grandparents, both
Nice.
my parents, they actually met in culinary school and stuff like that. So always kind of grew up with it around. So yeah, I'd have to go with cooking, man.
Sick. I'm giving you another top 3 list
Okay.
because I'm obsessed with lists.
Okay.
This is like what I am autistic
I
about
love
is
it.
lists.
I love it.
So was that politically incorrect? Sorry. Top 3 meals.
Top 3 meals. Oh fuck. Gotta go with my grandma's meatloaf.
Dude, love it.
Gotta go
Grandma
with it.
meal at the
Yeah.
top, absolutely beautiful.
Lasagna always goes hard. Just a nice steak, bro.
Dude, yeah.
Nice steak.
Come on. You can't leave a good steak
Yeah.
out.
Nice fatty ribeye, 20-ounce bone in. Yeah.
This guy knows. This guy knows. I saw I saw you were at Fat Butcher with Lucas the other day too. How was that?
Dude,
Steve's the
so
man.
good.
I love
Dude.
Steve.
So obviously, right, Steve's a G, but just even like the food there, the quality of the beef and stuff like that. If you guys haven't been to Fat Butcher, go. Okay, you're missing out, just flat out. He gave us, I believe it was some flat irons, and dude, it was so fucking good. So good.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's really good stuff. We obviously have our partnership with Strip District Meats, but I still love Fat Butcher as well and love Steve. Have you been to Strip District Meats as well? I mean, obviously that's close to Stout.
Yeah. So I've definitely been in there a couple of times, but I don't visit regularly. I'd say.
You got to get in there and check out their wild game, dude. Like, just
Dude, I know they
selection
have a
is, like-
lot. I know they have a lot.
it's just crazy. Like, it's mind blowing. And if you like to cook, like, you're gonna appreciate a lot of the other stuff. Like the quality of beef, the Wagyu, the like high end Wagyu stuff they have is like mind numbing. Honestly, their GM Brad, he's awesome. He trains at Indio actually, and he's a huge fight fan, and that's kind of how this all came to be. But he and his wife split this like insane Japanese Wagyu.
Okay.
It was like $150 a pound
I believe
or
it,
something
bro.
like that.
I believe it.
And
That
he's
shit's
like,
crazy.
He's like, dude, it was hard for us to finish it because it was so rich. Just all the
Yeah.
fat.
It's like like eating almost like pure
that.
butter.
I still want that. Like, I really
Me
want
too,
that.
bro. Me too.
I want to see Wilkins said Vince is good at everything and then just said chess. Is Vince good at chess, or is he saying like he's probably good at chess?
I don't know. I've never played Vincent chess. Definitely, based off his track record, it's potential. He's got potential.
If I had you and Vince in a room and brought a chessboard in and set it up, would you feel confident that you were about to win?
I got to stay humble. But of course, I'm always going to bet on myself.
Nice. I like that. Gator, Stupinski said Gator's crazy good. Gator is crazy good. It's like a mix between fish and chicken almost.
Yeah.
It's super good. Stupinski said more Christian lore unlocked. I don't know if that's you being into cooking or what the lore was exactly.
I'm not sure.
What was that's cool though. I'm glad. I'm glad we unlocked some new Christian lore. That's awesome.
There we go.
What is your favorite thing to cook? Like if somebody was coming over and they're like, I want you to impress me with a meal. What are you doing?
I'd probably say nice steak, some roasted asparagus, some roasted potatoes, maybe I'm trying to think what else. Maybe doing like a sauce, maybe like a chimichurri or maybe like a real simple pan sauce. You can
okay.
even go with like a horseradish or something like that.
Love it.
Yeah.
A creamy horseradish for it. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go. I'm way in on that. I love to cook too, man.
Okay.
I really do. I always have. I grew up like my mom and dad both loved to cook.
Okay.
And my mom actually ran a bed and breakfast for a little while.
Dude, that's awesome,
yeah,
man.
so I've been around that life, and like my dad was
Yeah.
huge into smoking meats,
Yeah, okay.
charcoal game. Like he was always a charcoal guy, so that was good. And then like smoking meats obviously blew up recently. Now everybody smokes meats or has a
dude.
Traeger or something. But you got to do it over
I
charcoal.
don't know. I guess you can thank the Rogan podcast for that
Dude,
one.
he's a big reason why. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. How do you listen to Rogan?
I'll listen if it's a guest that I'm interested in, but definitely not going out of my way to listen to each and every one. Like if I get the recommendation, I'll certainly sit down and listen to it. But no, I got some other podcasts and stuff that I prefer.
What do you like? Craig Jones's?
Yeah, so
His is
right,
great.
yeah, so the Craig Jones podcast, that's funny. I would say more so in like kind of like the self-improvement sphere, like I always want to try and better myself. So I'd say like the Chris Williamson podcast, that's a great one. I'd say like the Powerhouse Project, that's another good one. Andrew Huberman, he's a G. I'm trying to think about some other ones. I'd say like those are like the top ones.
Those are all super solid.
Yeah.
That's important, man. I think people, that's a big, I don't know if it's probably because of all these podcasts, honestly, that's become more of a part of younger generations' lives. I think this understanding that mental health is very important.
Dude,
and,
so
and
important,
focusing like just on your overall well-being, very important. Like physical health matters a lot. And that's something that Americans definitely have gotten away from hard.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So I think and the jiu-jitsu culture plays into that too, right? Because it's an extremely healthy thing to do physically and mentally.
Yeah, so I would say like, I don't know, I think one of the biggest reasons why jiu-jitsu is kind of blown up in popularity, it's kind of trifold, right? So on one hand, it's very physically demanding, right? So you're getting that level of exercise there. Also on top of it, it's very mentally engaging, right? A lot of positions and stuff like that you got to deal with. And then also like the community aspect, man, just having good people around you, it does so much for you, man. It does so much. And like, time is your most valuable resource. And it's like, if you're not growing, you're dying, man. So
So obviously we're in the office today. We work only in office one day a week on Fridays.
Okay.
So we were all here, and Ryan, we had a meeting this morning, me, Ryan, and Jim, and Ryan was saying, like, what's the most valuable thing in the world? And me and Jim both said our lives, like in general, like if you're not alive, nothing else matters. He's like, how about time?
Time, bro.
And like you just said it too, like the time aspect. Like, yeah, dude,
it's the
that's
only
funny
thing-
that we were just talking about that this morning.
It's the only thing you can't make more of, man. It's
Facts.
the only thing.
Big facts. Well, you're doing the most with your time, dude. That's for sure. Like you're running on hyper warp speed right now. So what's your end goal, man? Do you want to make jiu-jitsu your career and your main source of income as a competitor? Do you want to keep teaching, open your own gym?
So it's definitely hard to say right now with me being so young and stuff like that. I don't know. There's a Japanese philosophy. It's called ikigari. It's finding a balance between what you love, what you're good at, and what brings value to people. And I think I've been able to find that kind of through jiu-jitsu. And whatever that may look like is, ideally it'd be me running a gym and stuff like that. But I just want to be able to, not even necessarily for adults, but more so being able to like empower kids and stuff like that and be kind of a resource for them.
Yeah.
Because, I remember growing up and stuff like that and how much, coaches and stuff like that played in my life. And I feel like that's one of the, regions in which that I can have the most impact. So I would say probably coaching, whether that's me doing my own gym, me doing privates, whatever that case may be, but more so specifically in like the kids realm, man.
That's really cool. I'll be honest, that's not what I expected you to say. That's really cool.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean that it makes sense. Like if that's how you want to give back and that's what you derive worth from, like you said, that's huge, dude.
Yeah.
Hogaback commented and said, "My dog was in the shin guards and small gloves on Tuesday."
Oh my lord.
Yeah?
Dude.
Wait, are we going to get the Christian Schaefer MMA debut sometime?
No,
Let's go.
No. Maybe, I don't know, maybe in like 5 years from now, but I've even talked with like Mike and Will and stuff like that, about it just because, it's always fun trying new stuff. And it's like, sure, you can dabble in it a little bit, but where I'm at right now, it makes more sense for me to just kind of hone in on the grappling side of things. And then, you can always add in striking afterwards. Obviously, everything's important in MMA. I feel like it's harder to learn grappling than learn striking. Unpopular opinion, maybe, but I don't know. So
Will's gonna come bursting through the door. He's like, I heard that.
Yeah, he's gonna give me a T1 right to the face. So no, kind of focusing on the grappling side, but dude, fucking Tuesday. So the way that it happened is that I unfortunately ended up missing training in the morning. Just had some family stuff pop up. So I messaged Mike and it's like, hey, do you care if I hop in with like, I'm pretty sure I said the grappling practice.
Nice.
Right. So I thought that I was showing up and it was just going to be me in small gloves and, just, doing jujitsu with, with strikes and stuff. And it's like, okay, we're doing 3-5s. And it's like, what the fuck? Fortunately, everybody was super kind to me. Didn't fuck me up too bad. But I definitely ate some pretty hard shots.
Were you surprised at how much different it was that you couldn't just step in and be good at it?
No, absolutely.
You knew that
not.
was going to happen?
Yeah. Just because, like, to think that you can go into a realm in which that isn't yours and just absolutely dominate, some of these people that have, dedicated serious time to, like, you just be arrogant to think otherwise.
Yeah, no, you're dead on. Stupinski said it was like watching a rock'em sock'em robot.
Yeah.
How do you like throwing back? Like, how is striking somewhat natural to you?
Fuck no.
Offensively?
Fuck no.
Feels goofy.
Dude, I have 2 left feet. Okay. Again, nice thing with jiu-jitsu, it's a very like step-by-step thing, right? So it's very easy for me to grasp. With striking though, it's just like, Will's sitting there and he's like, you gotta relax. Like, you gotta drop your shoulders, just breathe a little bit. And it's like, dude, I don't know how to.
Yeah, that's not what I do.
No.
I think something interesting with your journey as well is simply not just your age because of how young you are and that you're doing it, but the age that you started versus where you are now versus where you're going to be in 5 years. Physically, you're going to be a different person at each of those stages. How have you noticed, like, throughout your development that your game has changed as you've just physically matured?
So definitely, I would say it was a massive advantage with me starting out so much smaller because you have to keep in mind whenever I started, right? Like I'm only, 120, 130 pounds at the time. So it's like I'm getting my ass whipped by these people that, are just average size, but, with them being adults and stuff like that. So it was kind of trial by fire. And now that, I'm growing up and stuff like that and getting bigger, it's like I noticed myself being able to pin people more, being able to stay on top more, being able to be a little bit more physically dominant. And because, I had that trial by fire so early on, all the stuff on bottom just kind of came so naturally to me because it's like I had to keep people off of me because, you know, whenever people have such a big size advantage on you, you know, sometimes it can get hard and you can get lost. And just really worked out in my favor, I feel.
I don't know if you saw the clip or listened to the Rogan podcast where Elon Musk was just on.
No,
they were
I haven't listened to it yet.
Dude, you got to find this because you're just going to be like shaking your head the whole time. Just this one clip.
Okay.
Elon was talking about grappling or fighting Zuckerberg. And Elon has like 70 pounds on him or something. And Elon was like, I'm just going to lay on him and he's not going to be able to do anything. And I was like,
if only you knew.
You've definitely never trained, have you? I was like, you think just because you're 70 pounds bigger, you instantly win?
No, dude, that is not how that works. Dude, there are some, you know, you can very easily find instances of like, you know, like these itty bitty girls or whatever just beating the shit out of like even like bodybuilders and stuff like that. And it's like I just don't think people realize because, you know, it's like, oh, I'm 260, bro. You don't understand my mentality.
I see red.
Yeah, I see red and bodies drop. It's just like it's not how that works, bro. Again, comes from a place of arrogance, I think.
But being in the gym works that out of you so instantly. Man. The first jiu-jitsu class,
you get humbled so quickly.
I suck. Yeah. But now to be on the other side of that, to where you are more so the one dishing that kind of stuff out, what is that like for you, knowing now like what you are capable of in this realm?
Could you give a little bit more clarification?
Yeah, like when you're first starting, you're trying to survive, right? That's the goal, like just survive. But now you're at a place not of survival, but of learning and growth and then applying that. So how has that changed your approach to jiu-jitsu in general?
I don't think it necessarily has changed it, more so because obviously, you know, coming from a place of survival, you're just trying to, you know, survive. But like at the end of the day, I do this shit because it's fun. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. So it's just how can I make practice enjoyable and how can I get a little bit better each day? And I think that's always kind of been the common theme as I'm coming up. And I think it's one of the reasons why I've been able to, you know, grow at the rate in which I have. I will say it's much nicer being able to dictate the pace of a roll or, you know, kind of going to different positions on your terms and stuff like that. But overall theme wise, I'd say it's still kind of stayed the same.
I think, you know, obviously with everybody you guys have at Stout, that makes probably the reason you enjoy it so much. That's probably a big reason if I had to guess. Not just the amount of people, but the different looks and then the different personalities and the way you guys are all friends is really cool from the outside. Like I'll say, your team seems very strong. On like, it seems like you guys hang out a lot.
Dude, people don't understand it, but like there have been like some nights, man, and it's like, you know, Mike, Vince, Britt, Lucas, you know, and like so many other more. It's like, dude, like I can hit them up at 2 o'clock in the morning if I'm having a rough day or something like that, and they're gonna pick up.
Yeah,
and it's just like being able to have people like that in your corner where they want to see you grow and they want to, you know, support you and, you know, they want your best interests and stuff like that for you. It's, you know, it's really a beautiful thing. And, you know, because, you know, sometimes I will struggle with like imposter syndrome, especially with like the growth of everything so quickly. But it's like, dude, I have other people telling me where it's like, you can make a serious thing out of it. So it's like, even if I don't believe in myself, I know that other people do. And it's really amazing.
That's huge. And imposter syndrome's so real for so many people too. I heard Britt talking about it on that Relentless Project podcast, which was really cool, by the way. Ish is good. Ish is coming in next week.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Shout
I'm
to
stoked
Ish,
to have him on here. So that's awesome. But when maybe you're still not really fully over it, but when did you start to get over that idea of like, I haven't been doing this long enough to be like, I'm sure that was part of it at first, right? Because it happened so fast for you.
Dude, I still struggle with it every single day. Because again, right, like I didn't come into this with the goal of, oh, I'm going to be the best or anything. It's just like, you know, this is something I like to do. Let's see how far it can go. And the nice thing is that I can, you know, where you build confidence is through experience. So if at any moment I feel like, you know, oh, like, is this real? Is this, you know, like, am I fake or anything else? Or like, you know, do I deserve to be in the situation which I am in? You know, I can always look at, you know, my past, some of the matches, some of the wins that I have, some of the losses that I have, you know, those trials and tribulations. And then, you know, let's say if that isn't enough, then I have that whole community behind me. So
yeah. I think having you at Sprawl too was super cool, man. Like that was an honor to have you there.
It was awesome to be there.
Thanks, dude. That was we talked about it. I think it was on the show before the show, so maybe you guys didn't hear it, but we'll get back into sprawl just a little bit. That was a rematch, wasn't it?
Yeah, so
Okay.
initially had our first match would have been Nogi Pans last year. First match. I was able to win on points. And then, some unfortunate things happened during the match. Match got called or whatever. But yeah, that was a rematch.
How good did that feel to put a stamp on it? Because I didn't know the exact context of the first one, but I heard it was like kind of controversial.
If you look at the rules, it wasn't controversial, but I don't know about that one. But it always feels good to be able to solidify your position and understand it's like, okay, like this wasn't a fluke. Like
Yeah.
it's like
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, yeah. So moving forward, like what kind of matchups excite you?
I want to be able to put on the best show that I can, and whatever that opponent may look like, I want. Again, at the end of the day, I understand that I'm an athlete. I understand, like, I want to win and everything else, but I just want to be able to entertain people. I want to be able to, kind of be a part of the growth of the sport and be able to get more eyes on it. So whoever that may be, where I can put on an entertaining match that people can get invested into, not just mentally, but emotionally, right? Like that's why, a sport like football's so big because, how many people know like the plays and shit that people are actually running? They don't. It's just, I want the fucking Steelers to win or, or whatever the case may be. So it's how can I create an entertaining match?
Yeah. We've done a good job at that.
I appreciate
so far.
it.
That match was entertaining. I'm always blown away by just the way the leg lock game blew up in the past couple of years. Like that dominates everything now. And I saw Mike's post after ADCCs was like, if you don't know leg locks, you're toast in this.
It's necessary.
Now. Yeah.
It is to the point now where, and again, I think a lot of people try and draw a distinction between, jujitsu and leg locks. And it's like, no, this is all one thing now. And like, you just got to accept it for how it is. John Danaher, one of, Warren, right, my coach, he was one of his coaches, really kind of revolutionized the game and really drew a lot of popularity to him because, before it would just be, oh, you're losing a match, fuck it, go hit a leg lock. But, he kind of put a system in place on, okay, these are different good positions that you can get to. These are different good locks that you can get to. Here's the interplay between, leg locks and then upper body submissions like arm bars and triangles and stuff like that. And as soon as he did it, all of his guys were fucking people up. And it's, you at some point have to open up your eyes and realize it's like, this shit's real, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they did. They made it undeniable at some point, and it seemed like it happened extremely fast, which was cool from an outsider's perspective. What is that connection with Danaher like? Because I know that he's still somewhat involved, right? Here, like he'll come to Pittsburgh once in a while, or
so
you guys have some communication.
Yeah. So there's definitely a level of communication. I'm actually leaving in 2 weeks. I'm gonna go down to Austin. I'm gonna go train under Danaher and his crew and
Sick.
all of his athletes and stuff like that for a couple of months, and I'm really looking forward to it. He doesn't necessarily travel a whole lot just because he doesn't have to, right? Like he's such a big name and stuff like that. But there's definitely a level of communication between Warren and him where it's like, if we ever wanted to host a seminar, I'm sure we could probably arrange it.
Yeah.
Or if, we wanted to send one of our athletes down, such as myself, down, we can certainly do it. So it's not like a day-to-day type deal, but there's definitely, like, the dude was in Warren's wedding, right? So
I didn't know that. That's so cool. Did he wear a rash guard?
No clue.
Bro, please tell me he wore a rash guard.
That knowing him, probably.
That's awesome. So you're going down to train with New Wave at Roca, I guess?
Yeah, so the Roca training facility, granted, they just opened up a new gym, so I don't know if it's still going to be at Roca or if it's going to be now at Henzo Gracie Austin. Yeah, they just got a whole bunch of more mat space, so we shall see.
What's up with Austin just becoming the center of everything?
Just
like
blew the fuck up, man. I think, COVID happened. People realized, California kind of sucks. And it's just, okay, so where does everybody go? And it's, I guess Texas was the answer. And, everybody just started migrating there. And it's, you get one good gym down there. You get two good gyms down there. You get three good gyms. And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, shit, like this is actually like a happening place.
Yeah.
And then, that's where the flea kind of happens.
For sure. I used to work for Flow, actually. So
oh, really? I didn't know that, bro.
I ran Flow Combat for like 2.5 years.
Oh, fuck yeah,
and
dude.
did some stuff with grappling and wrestling, too, while I was there.
Very cool.
So I'd be down in Austin like 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, dude, even back then, this was like 2017 and 19 maybe, something like that. it was awesome even back then. But you could see how float grappling was taking off, and it was just insanity. And now with like who's number one and everything.
Yeah. Oh, I got to ask, while you were down there, would you definitely say that Austin is a weird place? I know it's their trademark, but
They keep it pretty weird.
They
bro.
do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever been to Portland, Oregon?
yeah, I have not personally. I have family members that have been, and I've
Okay.
heard accounts from them.
So I haven't been there since like 2018, and I
Okay.
hear it got like way crazier since then.
Yeah, it went
and
downhill.
in a bad way. But when I was there, it was like the right amount of weird.
Okay.
It was like goofy. It was goofy. Like you would genuinely walk outside and somebody'd be like playing a harp in the park, and you're like, "Why is this happening?"
don't
But
know.
I'm into it.
Yeah, it's kind of badass.
Yeah. So Austin definitely had that vibe, but now, from what I understand, at least, like the homeless problem is pretty huge in Austin.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
bad. It was bad when I was there. So,
Really?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, man, but you know, like kind of makes sense, right? They got a lot of resources down there.
And nice weather. That's
Yeah, a lot of programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, weather's a big one, right? Not having to sleep on somewhere that's cold.
Dude, I would probably eat Texas brisket out of the trash. Like, I would not even care if somebody threw away some like
Dude,
authentic
honestly,
Texas brisket.
It's probably better than the barbecue that we have in Pittsburgh, I'd say.
Dude, except for one, bro. Big Rigs Barbecue in Monroe.
Big Rigs. I
Have you
haven't
ever
tried
been
it.
there?
I haven't tried it. I'm curious though.
I thought the same thing for the
Okay.
longest time. I was like, even the worst barbecue I had in Texas, because every time I would go, I would try
Yeah.
like 6 different places. You have to.
Yeah,
right?
just sample.
And I was like, the worst I had is still way better than anything I can get in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And then Big Rigs opened, and I went there once, and I was like, oh my God, somebody
Changed
figured it
you.
out. Somebody figured it out. That's
like-
so cool.
It's like an awakening.
Yeah, dude, it really was. That's in Monroeville. So unfortunately, you
Okay.
said you're usually not out at that Stout, but
I don't know, dude. I'm definitely willing to travel for some good barbecue.
travel
so
for good brisket,
I might
man.
have to plan a little
go
trip.
train at Monroeville one night and then get Big
Yeah.
Rigs after, dude.
Dude, that
Tell
sounds
him
like a
Hunter sent
night.
you. He's the man too. He's just a good dude, which makes it that much sweeter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. I like that you're going down to Austin. Was that your idea? How did that come to be?
So it was kind of something that's always been in the talks, as you know, it's not so much a matter of why or how, but more so when in terms of my career and stuff like that. Because, you know, it's always nice just being able to, you know, get different looks, be able to, you know, travel to different teams, be able to see some different perspectives and stuff like that. So I'd say it's probably something that we've been talking about in like the past year, 18 months or something like that. And it just finally came to fruition.
Did you have imposter syndrome about the idea
So
of
much.
training with Danaher?
So much. Dude, like, you know, that's like the fucking mecca of jiu-jitsu, dude. So
For
it's like,
sure.
dude, I remember like walking in, because where I was staying at an Airbnb. So I've already been down there for 10 days. So this is like a little bit of a longer trial period even. But I remember, you know, walking there and it's like, okay, calm down, bro. You're here for a reason. You got invited here. Yeah.
So
yeah.
cool. Yeah, man. He's, you know, throw jujitsu out the window. He's one of the most interesting and amazing humans to ever live, I think.
He's just a fucking character, dude.
doesn't
And-
make sense.
Yeah, and like from every single account that you hear, it's like he has figured out his purpose and he strives to excel in that region to the absolute best regard and cuts out any distractions. And it's like,
Insane.
yeah.
I mean, like, take more classic famous athletes, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, classically married to the game.
Yeah.
First one's in, last one's out. Danaher likes jujitsu more than they like basketball.
Yeah.
Flat out. It's
Yeah,
not even
he's-
close.
I don't even know if it's just jujitsu or if it's combat.
Combat,
sports.
yeah. I've
yeah.
heard that he knows like a ton about striking and stuff
Dude,
too.
apparently he started in fucking karate, I think.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
I know he's Gary Tonon's striking coach. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know, obviously he's known for jiu-jitsu, but it's like, you know, if he's coaching a dude like that, he's got to at least know something.
Always cool when I see pictures of Gary at Stout, by the way. I like that. He's
Yeah.
talk about a character too. Gary's a hilarious guy, at least online.
Yeah.
I've never had much interaction with him in person, but
He's a good dude. Definitely what is it? Your mom's favorite grappler or something like that, I think?
that sounds right.
Yeah.
Sounds totally
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Jared Billy on Big Rig said, definitely try it, Christian, before you leave. It'll make you want to come back.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll take you up on it.
How long did you say you're going down for?
3 months. So we don't have like a set time or anything,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking like either late February, early March.
When you go,
Mm-hmm.
what's your goal with that? Is it just kind of business as usual, just
Mm-hmm.
show up, do the work, and see what happens, or do you have a particular kind of like goal in mind?
I want to see how good I can get in the next 3 months being down there and being surrounded with more like-minded people such as myself. Because, you know, in that room, it's, I'm basically going to go from, being a big fish in a little pond to, the complete inverse where it's like,
Right.
I'm going to be a fucking nobody surrounded by like,
Everybody.
the greatest,
Yeah.
like the greatest jiu-jitsu athletes of all time. So it's almost like I guess a little trial by fire, if you will.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. TJ Timbo Moore, one of our biggest fans. Shout out TJ. He said, how old is this dude? You're 19, right?
19.
Yeah, there
19.
you go. Crazy, dude. It really is crazy. Stupinski, you can find young Danaher in GSP's corner. Yeah, I remember always seeing that. That is awesome, man.
Yeah.
I want to know, can somebody, maybe Wilkins, if you're still listening, Wilkins, can you text Warren and find out if Danaher wore a rash guard to the wedding? Because I really want to know that.
Dude, it's possible. Like,
I really want him to.
I'd be down to put money on it.
I really want to know that he wore a rash guard to the wedding.
Yeah.
That would be so good. So you're going, like, the likelihood of you rolling with Gordon is high, low, high.
Yeah. So
I'm not
whenever,
sure like what that dynamic
yeah.
is.
So whenever I was down there last time, I got to roll around with Gary Tonin, Big Dan Monasoyu, Luke Griffith, Giancarlo Bodoni, Nicholas Marigali, which, like, if you guys don't know, like, these are like ADCC champions, black belt gi champions. Like, some of these people are considered like the greatest, in their respected fields and stuff like that. And, Gordon wasn't there because he had some stomach issues and stuff like that. But, I'm sure if I go down there, like, it's certainly possible.
Marigali's a guy definitely that came out of nowhere, it felt like, and now is just on top of the world.
Kind of. So if you followed the gi scene, again, I'm not a big
I do
gi
not
guy.
at all.
Yeah. So I'm not a big gi guy myself, but he kind of fucking dominated there, and it kind of left him. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him about it. I don't want to put any words in his mouth, but I think he kind of found himself in a position where it's like, okay, I am one of the best gi guys of all time. Top 3 easily, and it's like, now what the fuck do I do? And then, kind of said, screw it, started doing no-gi, and then, he just started taking off from there.
That's pretty sick. Wilkins said, I'm not sure, but he 100% wore one to Matt Sarah's wedding. That's awesome. I hope Warren got the same treatment. That's fitting.
I'm sure.
So being down there with those guys is obviously going to elevate your game big time. I think when you come back, like, how exciting is it for you? Because you said your end goal might be to teach kids, like, to give back in that way. Like, how excited are you just to get this knowledge to share with your team here?
Dude, I'm so pumped. I really want to try and be a part of growing the jiu-jitsu scene in Pittsburgh, because I feel like where we are, we already have a lot of great resources, Matt, like Stout, Matt Factory, all those guys. So being able to come back with all this newfound information, I think it's only going to be able to help not just myself, but, all the people around me.
Absolutely. And that's exciting, for us too. And as you said, growing the grappling community, that's been our goal since day one, is growing the combat sports scene in general. And obviously grappling's a big part of that. Now with Sprawl, an even bigger part of that. Like, it's been cool on that level, because we felt for a long time like, dude, Pittsburgh's a hotbed for this.
Yeah.
It just is. The talent, the gym, like you said, the names you just said of the gyms, like, it's here, man.
Especially
Nice.
shout out to Ryan.
Nice.
I'm very excited to see where Pittsburgh can go, because we are such a hotbed for wrestling and just grappling in general. And I think as jiu-jitsu develops and kind of the crossover between jiu-jitsu and wrestling grows, I think we have a real big potential to, kind of put our name on the map, if you will, as a city. Like, I would say Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania is the best state for high school wrestling, right? You see the most D1 athletes coming out of here, so the potential in which we have, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the best college wrestling state too.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Penn State.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah,
Penn State wrestling.
Pitt,
That's all you need. You win. Penn State and Pitt. Yeah, it's
Kel Sanderson. Yeah.
legendary. What's Wilkins like on that level? Because obviously such a wrestling background, but has completely fallen in love with submission grappling and jiu-jitsu as well. Does he still show his wrestler roots more in the gym? Or is he,
yeah. Okay. I think wrestling's still, his true love at the end
like
of the day.
if they made him choose, he would definitely still be.
Yeah, like I think, you take Mike back, 10 years, it's like, okay, you can only do one thing for the rest of your life. If I had to guess, even though he was probably, he'd be in the midst of his MMA career right there, I'd say, wrestling by far. I'll even talk to him, and he'll sometimes show me videos and stuff like that, and it'll be like him and his son just watching wrestling, just hanging out on a random day. So it's like I think that's definitely his true passion.
It was one of the funniest things, dude. When he was on the podcast, he was saying how he made like on his Roku home screen, Flow Wrestling's the first.
Oh yeah, dude,
icon.
brainwash him.
So his son just like gets on, is like, "Oh, Flow Wrestling, yeah, I'll watch that." That's freaking beautiful. The best part is that
Start him young.
guaranteed he doesn't even need to do that. Like that kid's destined to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
There's no option.
Dude, just even watching, Mickey run around in the gym and stuff like that, it's just, yeah. You can tell that at least I would have to guess, I would see him doing some sort of combat sport, whether that's wrestling, whether that's striking, whether that's jiu-jitsu, whatever the case may be. It's going to be wrestling. Let's be honest. It's going to be wrestling. But I don't know. Kid just gets after it. Super hard head. Yeah.
I'm shocked. Where's he get that from? But yeah.
I don't know.
We talked about him earlier, like very briefly, but I wanted to circle back to Lucas because it's pretty clear that you two get a lot of work in together and have really helped each other in your respective careers. And this Technique Tuesday, which is super cool, by the way. I like
appreciate
that a
it.
lot.
I
It's a
appreciate
great
it.
idea. They're cool to watch. What's that been like to launch? Let's start with just Technique Tuesday specifically. How was that? Who came up to you guys and was like, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this," or was it your idea?
So, I would say that I was kind of the one that came to him initially, but as soon as I presented the idea to him, it's like, fuck yeah, dude, let's do it. We're both kind of men of action, so it's like if we're gonna say that we're gonna do something, then we're gonna go out and do it. And from there, it's just kind of been growing ever since. Like people will come up to me in the gym and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, dude, like that's super helpful, or
Nice.
or like you really presented that in a really cool manner, both to myself and Lucas, and then then they'll also throw in ideas and stuff like that. So it's been really cool to kind of be able to help others by presenting information in which that they may have not had access to.
That's awesome and very well put. I love that you're always able, since you guys compete so much, you're able to show the move, but then show clips of you actually doing it in competition. Like that validates it. Like that's really cool to have that.
Yeah, that's one of the definitely the biggest things, because especially with the access of information, with the internet and everything else, like you're gonna see all like these charlatans and stuff like that, where it's just like, oh, look at this, super sweet submission or whatever, and it's just like, dude, like this is fucking garbage. Like, go put your money where your mouth is. Like, like show me that this shit works, and then I'll actually get behind you. So it's like that's one of the goals that we had, where it's like, okay, we're only gonna show stuff that we did in competition.
That's super smart, man. So Technique Tuesday, you guys got that off and running, but what has Lucas's addition to Stout in general been like? Because it feels like he's been there forever, and it really hasn't been that long.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about whenever I think he's not maybe a year into Stout, but still like a relatively new addition, I'd say.
I would guess around a year.
Yeah, but he's just fucking blown up since then. It's been really cool to be able to watch him progress, and then not only watching him progress, but to be able to see the information and the knowledge, of him being a D1 wrestler and stuff like that, that he can help bring into Stout, both mentality wise, and then also just on a pure technical basis. It's been really cool to watch, and he's even brought in some other characters and stuff like that that have also super fucking good as well. So a great addition to the team, man.
Yeah,
great addition.
I think Hunter has a man crush on him.
I mean,
can you blame him?
How can you not?
Can you blame him?
How can you not? I think we all do. That's just the Lucas Siebert effect.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
He did start some controversy with his last match, though, Lucas.
He did.
Come on, bro.
He did.
He texted the next day. He was apologizing. We all learned a lot from that night in general.
Yeah, it was a very eventful night.
It's a great one. Put it
Not,
at that.
not always the kind of events, the eventfulness we want, but hey.
Hey, yeah, it was something. It was something.
People reacted. That's good. They always say like the worst thing somebody can be is indifferent, right? Love you, hate you. Got to cause some kind of reaction, and it caused a reaction.
Yeah.
So there we go. We're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's super cool, man, to watch Stout in general. Like guys like Lucas, like you said, he's bringing in guys. I've seen Josh Ramirez there, obviously. Luke Martin's got a fight coming up. Shout out Luke Martin. Good luck, dude.
Fuck yeah, dude.
The whole crap. There's a Stout Fights event tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's up? Are you going to that?
No. So I'm actually going to be traveling out to Philly for I guess Bethlehem, PA, for a competition.
Nice.
Tomorrow. So
what is that?
It's the Finishers Open 14.
Nice.
It's run out of 10th Planet Bethlehem.
Makes
one
sense.
of my buddies, Renee Sosa, super famous grappler. He hit me up yesterday morning, and he's like, "Dude, you got to get on this fucking card."
Nice.
So he let me know about it. Talked to Mike, talked to Warren about it. It's like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Like, let's go do it. So a little bit of a last minute thing.
What's the Renee connection with Stout? Because obviously he's
So, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to butcher it or anything, but Renee had a match against Chris Dempsey at High Rollers, and High Rollers is a jiu-jitsu event in which one of our members, Lonnie,
Big
right?
Lon.
Yeah, everybody knows Lonnie. Everybody loves him. Runs where basically like the competitors have to smoke weed beforehand. So I think Renee and Dempsey had a match. So then Renee ended up getting a connection over at the Mat Factory, and then from that connection over at the Mat Factory, kind of came over here. I know that Renee also had a match against one of our now black belts at the time, brown belts, Tanner Hall, right?
I didn't know they competed. That's cool.
Yeah, it was last year's East Coast Trials, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
So just kind of between like those different interactions, and we're in the same state and stuff like that. It kind of bound to happen, I feel.
That's really cool, man. It blows my mind just in the short time that we've been doing Sprawl. It's opened up how tight the jiu-jitsu community is, even at the highest level. Like the fact that we had, Dante Leone versus PJ Barch at our first show, I was like, it wasn't that hard to get done.
No.
In that was the equivalent of like putting up a top 10 UFC level MMA fight. Like that's impossible for us in the MMA world. But just the access, and then having a guy like Renee that is, it's like, well, he competed against Dempsey, so obviously he's friends with everybody in Pittsburgh now. Like what?
Yeah.
Like it just works like that.
It's a very tight knit community. I think one of the reasons is because the sport's still so much in even though it's grown so much, it's still in its infancy. I would kind of say that where jiu-jitsu is right now is kind of like the tap out era of the UFC.
The best era, some might say.
So, a very easy argument to make. So I think with it just still being so young, it makes sense as to why everybody's so close to one another.
Totally agree. It still is. It's big now, but it's still such a niche thing that like when you find somebody else that loves jiu-jitsu, it's like you're instantly friends because we can speak this language. So yeah, dude, that's super cool. I like that analogy too, the tap out era. That's pretty interesting to think. So what do you think in that realm? Like the UFC is far removed from that. What's jiu-jitsu going to look like next? Like what's the next evolution?
So right now jiu-jitsu is we have a lot of bigger organizations, but nobody has kind of said, okay, this is jiu-jitsu, right? So you have a lot of different rule sets, a lot of different match structures, a lot of different organizations and stuff like that. So I think what needs to happen in the sport right now is one organization kind of has to take precedent over all the other ones, and everybody has to agree. And what I think that's going to be right now is ADCC. They put on super entertaining matches, best of the best. Even their open tournaments are harder than some of the other organizations like majors and stuff like that, which is just like bigger tournaments in their realm. So I think you're going to see ADCC kind of take over jiu-jitsu. It's going to be like the standardized rule set and everything, and once that happens, it's just going to blow the fuck up from there.
Do you think Olympics are ever on the table?
I don't know, and that's a very heated topic. I know some people love the idea of the Olympics, right? Put it because it's going to get so many more eyes on the sport. I know also other people hate it because, it kind of bastardizes the sport a little bit. So I don't know. I'm just not informed enough on it. Me personally, I kind of say no. I hope ADCC takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that too. How do you, obviously you like it to some degree, but how do you feel about ADCC's rule set? You think if that was the ubiquitous rule set, that's good?
I think that just like everything in life, there's pros and cons to it, but I think that there are so many more pros with something like ADCC. With for you guys that don't know, ADCC, first half the match, no points. Second half the match, there is points. So what happens in that no points period is that people are able to be a little bit more aggressive, be a little bit riskier, kind of go for like these higher risk moves that might pay off, and it just helps create a lot more action. So on one hand I love it, on the other hand there are some rules such as like the takedown rule and stuff like that, which if you guys don't know, if I take you down and you drop down onto like your elbows and knees and it's called turtle, right? No points. So you have to pin them as you're taking them down in order to actually receive a score. So again, pros and cons like everything else, but I think it creates really, really exciting matches.
It's so hard, man. We talked about this. I don't remember if that was last week or not, but when we were debriefing from Sprawl and Brawl 18, because Lucas's match was so hotly contested, we're like, we might need to like figure out a better scoring system for Sprawl. And everybody in the comments was giving ideas, and there's no clear-cut answer for jiu-jitsu of what is best.
Yeah.
It's crazy, actually, how difficult it is to pin that down.
On one hand, points are great because points give the athletes a very clear objective to shoot towards. The issue with something like points, though, somebody scores 2, okay, I'm winning the match. I'm not going to fucking do anything. It's just like, that's so boring, man.
Sucks.
So I think ADCC is a nice middle ground. I also think another thing that needs to happen is the culture of the sport. I think a lot of people need to wake up and realize that it's like, okay, we're still in our infancy, and guess what? If you win a match by an advantage or 2 points, nobody gives a shit. Look at like individual like Craig Jones. Technically speaking, hasn't won anything. One of the biggest names in the sport, just because he's entertaining. He's entertaining. He goes out, he presents these exciting matches. People want to watch him compete. So I think if something happens culturally, I think that's going to be the biggest thing.
Nice. Wilkins says Olympics will ruin it. So there you go.
Hey, listen, I got to agree with my coach.
Stupinski said, please no. I assume that's to ADCC rules being implemented across the board. I think that's what he was responding. Maybe Olympics or rules. I don't know.
If I had to guess, probably Olympics. Knowing Sage, I'd probably have to go with Olympics.
Okay. All right. So Olympics are off the table for people. They wouldn't be excited about that. Interesting.
2 thumbs down, man.
I kind of get it, though. And also, I think part of it, maybe I'm wrong here, but jiu-jitsu likes having its own little niche. Like we call it a niche. I think that's a point of pride for a lot of people. We love jiu-jitsu. Like, this is my thing.
Yeah, I think
thing.
I think one thing that might happen if jiu-jitsu does get inherited by the Olympics is that there's going to be a less clear form of communication between the spectators and the event coordinators. I think that's one of the nice things with ADCC is that they're so active within the community that if people don't like shit, people are going to be vocal, and guess what? They're going to listen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True.
And there's something to be said about that quick kind of turnover and that quick change that I think is really going to be able to help the sport. And I don't know if you'd necessarily be able to do that with the Olympics.
That makes perfect sense. I think, it's pros and cons, like you said.
Yeah.
When I think about it, dude, it's all pros and cons. The exposure would be great. It would create new stars for sure. Like you'd have kids interested in it that never otherwise would have even thought about competing. So goes every way, dude. There's no clear-cut answer. Stupinski said, "Look at judo; it ruined the rules." I don't know Olympic judo well enough to understand.
I'm not familiar,
but I'm sure.
I know that there was one controversial rule with judo where I don't think you can do like double legs or single legs or anything. And I remember at one point that was a real big thing. So maybe that's what he's referring to, but I'm not sure.
Weird. Yeah, dude. Wherever it goes, you guys will be along
see.
for the ride. Let's be honest. You guys aren't going to quit jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, dude. No.
Dude, one thing that blew me away with you was at Nicky Rod's seminar. You were asking like extremely smart questions. Not a lot of people were speaking up, first of all, which was weird to me.
I don't know why, right?
You weren't shy about it. And I
Yeah.
appreciated that. But like the level, like some people I think went to the seminar just to like maybe roll with Nicky Rod at the end. Like, of course you're going to learn what he's teaching, but like you were there on a mission, it seemed like. Is that how you approach seminars?
Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime, I guess not even necessarily seminars, but more so life in general. You know what I mean? Like with an individual like Nicky Rod, he has done so many amazing things in the sport that who am I to act like, oh, I know enough and I can't, seek any information or any value, right? Like if there is an individual that has something that you want, obviously you never want to be jealous, right? It's okay to be envious of said person and to strive for that. But clearly he has information in which that I don't have. So why not try and tap into it while he's there? You know what I mean? Like it's having such a great resource like that there in front of you. I just don't think a lot of people, I don't know why, but they feel hesitant to access into it.
Yeah. It was really cool. I thought that he was okay with people filming and everything.
Yeah.
Like he was cool if you wanted to record.
Yeah, he didn't give a shit.
Surprised me.
He didn't give a shit, dude.
And you were one of the ones recording. How did you go back to that? Did you really use that and really dig into what he was teaching?
There were a couple of specific things that I was able to take a lot of information from, such as the way in which he kind of approaches escaping the back control in a body triangle. He's very, very good at the EBI rounds. Another thing was a grip break that he showed from back control. So yeah, I would say overall productive, right? If I can leave a seminar, or if I can leave a class, or if I can leave a training session with one additional tool in my arsenal, that's a win.
Awesome.
That's a win.
How much tape do you review just at home? Like, do you go home and watch matches and watch breakdowns? Or
I watch a lot of instructionals.
Yeah.
I'll watch high level matches. I'll have, if maybe Warren is, go watch this wrestling match and look for this specific sequence, see on how this individual athlete does a certain thing. Okay, then I'm gonna do it. Same thing with Mike, right? Like, if he gives me a recommendation, oh dude, like you should go back and watch like this jiu-jitsu match, like I'm gonna go back and watch it. I'd say more so I'm finding myself with instructionals though. Instructionals, and then because what I'll do is I'll look back at my rounds and it's like, okay, struggling in close guard in this specific area. What am I doing wrong? What do I need to implement to be able to improve it? And then that's where I find myself usually tapping into instructionals more.
Makes perfect sense. And that's like, it's interesting to me to hear you say that Warren and Mike kind of point out matches that they would want you guys to watch, because that's the Danaher special.
Yeah.
That's what we always hear about. Danaher goes home, locks himself in his room, watches tape, and then brings it to his pupils. Yeah. Like, that makes perfect sense.
The relationship between the coach and the athlete, I think, is so important. I don't think a lot of people realize it unless you necessarily find yourself in there. But every single time I come into practice and every single time I interact with them, they always have the mindset of, okay, how can I improve this individual? And it's just really amazing to be able to have that opportunity.
Really cool. And such a good place to do it.
So good.
Like, yeah.
So good.
So for you specifically, I know we mentioned kind of your end goal,
Yes.
but as a competitor, where do you see that going?
So I was actually, I think it's Kyle Dake. He was on I think it was the BJJ Fanatics podcast, but at one point he talked about not necessarily striving for medals. And, I can really agree with that sentiment. What I want to see is just how good of a grappler can Christian Shaffer be, whatever that may look like, I'll be happy with, so long as, I put forth my best foot and my best effort. So it's not, it's not like, man, I want to win, like, obviously I want to win ADCC, but it's not, I win ADCC and I'm done. It's, or, maybe I find myself in like a black belt, no-gi world championship match or something like that. And it's like, I'm not necessarily striving for medals. I just want to be the best version of myself in which I can be. And whatever that may look like, I'm excited.
It's a great mentality to have. And I think it's super interesting. I've noticed in my life and anybody high level that I've ever talked to in their lives, it's always the case that you think something's the goal. And then you get there, and then the goal changes on you. It's like you're running towards an end zone that, as you get closer, keeps moving back.
That's funny that you mention it, because there's one quote that, especially through kind of my growth and everything else, that I've kind of realized, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher it, but it's, the man who enjoys the journey will always go farther than the man that goes for the destination. It's something like
Makes
that.
sense.
Like I'm sure I'm butchering it, but there's something to be said about just enjoying the process, enjoying what you do every day, wanting to improve rather than, I want to win ADCC. Because it's like, you do hear this a lot, especially with athletes and competitors. It's like they hit this goal and it's like, now what the fuck do I do, right? Like I think it was Tyson, right? He had that spiral, had multiple belts. What the hell do I do? You just hear it a lot with athletes where it's, they hit a certain point and then it's, well, now what the fuck, right?
Yep.
Because you will never actually feel a level of accomplishment, fulfillment, happiness from an outside thing. It has to come from within.
Dude, 19 years old, dropping that philosophy, but it's so true, dude.
Yeah.
Cody Garbrandt, I remember for the longest time, I was covering MMA locally when he was still on the local scene, then got to the UFC, became the UFC bantamweight champion, and I'll never forget talking to him after that, expecting him to be like on top of the world, right? Which he was. But he also said, like, didn't change a thing. Like, my whole life, I thought this was like all I ever wanted was to be the UFC champ. And then it happened, and I was like, woke up the same guy, same person, same family, same. Got to go back to work now. I got to defend. Like it just keeps moving on you.
It's a scary realization that fortunately I don't think I'm going to have to face, but I know a lot of people do, and that's where you see the downward spiral of athletes or just, I guess, goal-oriented individuals. Right? They hit this goal, they think it's going to bring them all of this, happiness, well-being, all this shit, and it's not.
Yeah, Siebert dropped the quote in the comments. The man who loves walking will walk farther than the man who loves the destination.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I knew I was fucking that up.
Siebert's always with the quotes, dude. I listened to his Relentless Project podcast too, and he got my man's got some philosophy. He's got some quotes. He's got some quotes going on. Is that your favorite quote? Do you have a favorite quote? Are you a guy that's motivated by quotes? Like, I'm really not, to be honest.
I don't focus too much on quotes. I would say one of the biggest quotes that I have, it's the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. And basically what that comes down to is that the people that you choose to hang out with and your friends and kind of your network will always be the most valuable no matter what. Because again, like you're the ones picking those relationships. And, I've kind of realized that through Stout and the love and support that I receive from who were essentially at one point fucking strangers to me. It's very eye-opening. It's very eye-opening.
Like a nature versus nurture kind of quote.
Yeah, it's very important to have people in your circle rooting for you.
For sure, man. Well, you certainly got that, dude. As the comments show, got a lot of Stout representatives there, dude. This has been an awesome podcast. Great, I'm excited that this was your first, that we got to kick it off here in studio with Christian Shaffer, man. Well, whatever's next, dude, you've got our support. We would love to have you back, obviously, for us. But
of course, man.
Let's get it, bro. Thanks for coming in, brother. We're going to wrap this up. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Christian Shaffer, let's go.
See you guys. Cool.
That was sick, dude.